Hey guys, what's going on? I hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here. Welcome back to The Fragrance Well. So today I got my nose on 3 new and notable fragrances, and I'm going to give my first impressions on them today. Tom Ford Vanilla 6, Tom Ford Oud Minerale, and Creed Queen of Silk. Obviously, a little bit of a caveat with Oud Minerale. It's not actually a brand new fragrance. It is just being repackaged, re-released from the private line over to the signature line. So, you still like to talk about it. Now, I actually never got my nose on that one in particular, but when it was in the private blend, so it's actually new and notable to me. So I'm gonna give my thoughts on it. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna do. It is just as of today. I haven't been able to spend time with the fragrances. 2 of them I do have sprayed on my hand, so I can give a little bit more in-depth first impressions on them. The other one, you'll see why I did not spray that one on my hand or on my skin, so to speak. And that's what today's video is going to be, just giving my thoughts on some new fragrances. All right, but before we get started, as always, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon and enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so the first one is Tom Ford Vanilla Sex. I would say that the name is appropriate. There is, first and foremost, plenty of vanilla in this fragrance, and it is quite creamy. It is quite rich. There's definitely like varieties of vanilla in it. It is certainly sweet, and it is meant to kind of have a sexiness to it, and I do think that is there. And also, that fragrance is not for me. I got my nose on it, and I'm like, yeah, this is still that kind of form of vanilla I just don't care for. I think it's just safe to say that if a fragrance is overly vanilla forward and overly sweet, I just don't like it. Fragrances I've come across over my fragrance journey that have had that characteristic, I just haven't been a fan of. I don't necessarily think they're bad, I just don't want to wear them. So that's pretty much what I think of Vanilla Sex. Got my nose on that and instantly was like, yep, let's go ahead and just kind of put that one to the side, mark that one off the list. I'm not interested in it. I will talk about it though, and I am doing that now. I do think the fragrance, at least off of initial sniffing of it, I haven't worn it, so I can't go into too much detail, but just kind of getting my nose on it initially, I do think it smelled nice. I didn't think it smelled bad. Didn't smell like it was poorly done compared to how I think Electric Cherry was done. Yeah, it's just not for me, so that's pretty much all you're gonna hear me say about it. But Vanilla Sex, if you are a fan of vanilla fragrances, and particularly if you are a fan of Parfums de Marly Altair, I think you'll also like this one. Similar in that style of vanilla presentation, but definitely goes in a little bit of a different direction. It's not the same thing. So that is Tom Ford Vanilla Sex. All right, next up, Tom Ford Oud Minerale. Once again, this is not a brand new release. It has just been repackaged, remarketed, moved from the private line to the signature line. But this is my first time ever getting my nose on this, and that was the primary thing I wanted to get my nose on today. So I did spray that one on my skin. It's been on my skin for some hours now. And let me just say, that fragrance is awesome. I've heard people say that it can be a little weird to some, and I can understand that. But this fragrance, as soon as I smelled it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely something for me. A very interesting, dense, aquatic, where there's really heavy aquatic notes there. I find it to be definitely salty. There's also a very green-like aspect to it. Kind of reminds me of seaweed, maybe even dried seaweed. I gotta be honest, right now, I don't really pick up that much oud. I think the oud that's in here is more of just kind of a supporting note, give it a little bit more weight, but I don't even necessarily pick up a whole lot of woodiness, at least as of me just kind of testing it today. That, could maybe change. But all I know is I'm definitely gonna pick this scent up. I plan on picking this one up. Obviously, with it being in the signature line, it's automatically going to be a little bit more affordable than it was in the private blend line. So I'll be kind of keeping my eye out for this one. It was warmer today, and I do think it smelled great in the warmer weather. So I do think this is a heavier aquatic scent that can be worn in warmer weather, while also, working in some cooler weather as well, because obviously it was air conditioned where I was testing it at. But yeah, I like this one. Yeah, I'm going to get this one. I can understand if it is not a scent that everybody would necessarily like. It is a little bit strange and not as easy to like as your typical aquatic, say like an Acqua di Gio style fragrance or something like that. But I definitely adore this fragrance right off Jump Street. And you know what? I think I'm a little weird. I think I'm a little bit of a weirdo when it comes to fragrances, because all these fragrances that people tend to say you kind of might need to test this one out first, it might be kind of hit or miss for most. I tend to love those fragrances from first sniff. I don't even have to test them out. Like, I did spray this on my skin today because I planned on it, but even if I had just smelled this on a strip, instantly I would have been like, yeah, I'm getting that. I'm gonna get it. I have smelled another scent that I think this may be similar to, but I might just not fully remember that. Unfortunately, I used up all of the sample of it, so I'm not gonna talk about it. But Oud Minerale, that is definitely a 2 thumbs up for me, and I will be picking that one up. Tom Ford Oud Minerale. All right, guys, the final one is going to be Creed's Queen of Silk. Now, Creed Queen of Silk is being marketed towards women. However, I do think if you are a guy that is comfortable with many unisex fragrances, particularly ones that are popular amongst the fragrance community, I think you might like this one. However, I would say test it first. So first and foremost, this fragrance is strong. This is not a weak Creed at all. First of all, I do have a sample of it, so I'm kind of all over the place here, but I'm just kind of impromptu. I did get a sample of this one, so I actually can test this one out some more if I want to. Smelled it in the store, and immediately was thinking to myself, like, I definitely like this way better than Creed Carmina. To me, that was basically just cough syrup, and I'm just personally not a fan of that cough syrupiness in fragrances. My wife didn't like it either, but got my nose on this one today. She seemed to like this one a lot better at first sniff as well. This does have an oud note in it. I definitely can pick up that oud-like characteristic, but I wouldn't say oud is at the forefront of this fragrance. It's very much a supporting note in my opinion. The main thing you get from this right away is you get florals, kind of powdery, somewhat spicy florals. Maybe not too spicy, but there's kind of a touch of spice in this, but definitely a fruitiness as well. There's a very strong fruitiness blending with those florals. I would say for the most part, the fragrance is fruity, floral, and quite sweet, but not like syrupy sweet, but it's definitely sweet. There is tuberose in this. And what I can appreciate about this fragrance is the tuberose is not overpowering the entire scent. It is playing its role, but it is blended with the other elements that this fragrance has. Because I know sometimes tuberose, man, it could just take over a fragrance, and sometimes that's exactly what they're trying to do with the fragrance. Any fragrance like that, I'm typically not a fan of. But this one, it's definitely noticeable, but it's not like overtaking the scent, so I do appreciate that. Now, there's almost like this leatheriness to this fragrance, and I feel like when you first spray it on, that's when it is like just straight up and down the middle unisex. Men can certainly wear this fragrance. As it dries down though, it does start to lean a little bit more feminine. It gets a lot more musky and kind of vanilla sweet-like on the dry down. The tuberose kind of starts to come out a little bit more. Some of the opening accords that maybe pull it in the other direction a little bit more have, certainly faded away at this point. The oud, again, it's just kind of a supporting accord. It's not really at the forefront. There are some other elements, but that's kind of what I really pick out in my nose. The floral nature of it stays there. It gets a little bit sweeter and very heavy on the musk. So it gets a little bit more feminine on the dry down, but I still think this is one that guys can rock. I have to say, it is possible that I have smelled fragrances similar to this, but I can't think of any at this time. I've been trying to think, like, have I smelled something like this that I can remember the name of it? So far, I haven't been able to. I bet you there's someone who's, much more experienced than I am that could say, oh, this has similarities to such and such. But best I can tell, it is its own composition. It's definitely well done. The quality is certainly there. It's kind of like, do you just like the scent or not? I don't think you would say it's a poorly done scent. And like I said, it projects very nicely, and it also has notes like ambroxan, and it has some heavier chords for it to have some staying power. So I do think it is one that would last a long time. But overall, I'm impressed with this one. Yeah, so would I buy it? I don't know. If my wife were gonna wear it more frequently, wear it very frequently too, maybe I would. I don't know what this goes for at full retail, but it's a Creed fragrance, so there you go. It probably will show up on discounters, but who knows what for. Spring Flowers actually came down a lot more than I thought it would on discounters, so I guess we'll see, but this isn't Spring Flowers, so. But overall, this is a thumbs up fragrance for me. Will I pick it up? I don't know, we'll see. But it is definitely unisex, but it leans more feminine on the dry down, but very well done, and I'm sure at some point you guys will be able to get your nose on that if you would like. So that is Creed Queen of Silk. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Just a quick first impressions. I'm gonna try to do this as frequent as I can, get my nose on new scents and try to give my thoughts on it as soon as I can, especially if I get a sample of it, or obviously if I just buy the fragrance, then obviously I'm gonna talk about it at some point. But yeah, I'm gonna try to do this as often as I can. It's been months since I've been able to even get into the store to check out a number of new fragrances, so sometimes it's just not possible. But let me know if you guys liked me doing this. If you want me to do it more frequently when I can do it, I'll certainly kind of make this a thing that is a little bit more recurring. So thank you guys for watching the video. Thank you for watching all the way into the end. Remember to be well and smell well, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.